Hi everyone, it's Sonia McDonald here and welcome to this week's Friday Live. As you know, we love motivating and inspiring and teaching, coaching everyone around the world to be great leaders. And remember, leadership is an attitude, it's a choice, and it's an action. You don't need a role or title to be a leader. Now, if you don't know me, I'm the CEO and founder of two companies, Leadership HQ and McDonald Inc. And we're all about building a world of great leaders. And we do that through our online programs, face-to-face programs, public workshops, coaching, our blogs, our books, our workshops. We've got a great team of incredible people that are all about building great leadership because we believe that leadership is the key today. So if you really want to be successful in your life and your career and also build a great organization to go from good to great, it's about leadership. So today I want to talk about when you're working with not so good leadership. We've all experienced that, including myself. When you've worked with that bad manager, or you've worked with an organization that you go, okay, this leadership isn't the best. So I wanted to share some tips with you and also check out our blogs on Leadership HQ because we've got some other tips and also tools to help you around this leadership space and how to navigate when you're working with not such a great leader. And we've all experienced that because the thing is, you don't tend to be able to choose your manager or who is leading you. And so therefore it's around how do you navigate working with someone that can be really quite challenging. And remember, you've always got choices. So I always say to people, and I've got a few tips down here I've written. Let me get my glasses on. Okay, let me get my glasses on to read these tips because I always have so much to say and I always forget and I always ramble on to these different things. If you'd love to make a comment too, make a comment, especially if you've worked with a bad manager and you've got some things that you would like to say as well. So let me just talk to you around some key things that I think are really important. First of all, understand who you are. So I think self-awareness is the key. So the more that you understand yourself, the more you will understand others. So get to understand your manager, get to understand where you think their strengths are, what motivates them, understand what you think could be their triggers or the things that they need to work on. I think that's really important. Get to understand your manager and what makes them tick. And this is where I think self-awareness is really important because the more, as I said, the more self-aware you are of yourself, the more self-aware you are of others. And then you can get a sense around what might be going on for them. I find as well, people underestimate the role of a manager when they work in leadership because leadership in the role sense or experiencing poor leadership is that it's a very different skill set. So some people kind of feel as though that, why is my manager so poor? Well, maybe they actually just need some coaching, some developing because it is a very difficult skill set. Sometimes you don't understand what it's like to be a manager or to be leading a team or leading a company until you've actually been in their shoes. So having some empathy, I think, is really important. Understanding what might be going on for them. They could be having some struggles or they could be feeling overwhelmed. So I think really getting a sense around what could be going on for them, I think, is really important. The other thing as well, and it's interesting, I always say, I wonder if you're working for a bad manager or you're working for poor leaders, whether they would be open to feedback. It's really interesting one. If you feel like you've got a trusted relationship with them and that you feel that you have the courage to give them feedback, absolutely, because they kind of might not be aware of what they're doing. Gosh, that's happened to me. I'm not saying I'm a perfect leader. I think that I am a great leader, but I think that there's things that I'm always working on or could be working on. So, like, for instance, I know earlier on when I was leading teams, and because I'm such an achiever and I've got so much I feel going on sometimes, my active listening skills sometimes are much better today. But I mean, a decade ago it was something I had to work on and my team gave me feedback on it. So I was really open to it because I always wanted to develop and I always wanted to grow, but some leaders aren't like that. So if you feel you can't give a bad manager or someone that is that really needs some upskilling around leadership. Maybe it's around us requests, like kind of going to them and say, hey, this is how I need to be led. This is how I need to be managed. So requesting from them what you need more of from them to be the best version of yourself. So instead of giving them feedback, make it more about you and requesting more from them around how you love to be led, I think is also really powerful. I think it's also important that you take care of yourself and your well-being as well. I find a lot of people that I work with, particularly in this space, are always on edge, or they're always on the lookout for when their manager is going to act or do or say something that really upsets them or might be demotivating for them. If you can, switch your focus on what could be their strengths or could be good about them. And also, if there are things about them that you feel are poor or not so great, learn from them. Go, at least I know what not to do. I think that's really important as well. Make sure you've got a support network around you. It's so important that you have some trusted people around you, friends, colleagues that you can talk to. It's really important that you don't badmouth your manager or your leaders or your leadership, because I think that always stay in terms of, I believe the center pole of leadership is around character integrity. So make sure that you have integrity, don't speak negatively, or white ant, I see it happening a lot, so don't do it. Just don't do it. I think that's really important, that you stay courageous and kind always and stay true to your values. And if you've got a coach or a mentor, this is why I love coaching and mentoring myself, and I have a coach and a mentor, is you can use that space to try and navigate any sort of challenges. But don't go out there and talk to everyone within the business or organization about how bad this manager is. Look, if it gets to a point where it is really impacting your work or your life, then I definitely think you need to speak to human resources. But if you are working with a bad manager and you can tolerate it and also manage it because you're focusing on being the best you can be, don't let it impact your performance in your work as well. Make sure that you stay on top of it and be the best version of you. Be the leader that you want to see. I think that's really important. Mentioned bad mouthing. Look at maybe as well, if you feel as though you don't want to leave the organization, you want to stick it out because you actually really love the organization, is look for other opportunities in the organization. Sometimes we think the grass is greener on the other side. It's not necessarily always greener. So see if there's any other opportunities within the organization. But if you feel as though it's getting to a point where you felt like you've done everything to try and navigate the situation, start now planning the exit, or start now looking at where you could take your career. Start having conversations with people out in your network. LinkedIn is a great platform for that. Just start looking at what you can do in terms of finding that great next step. So just don't jump. I find a lot of people that kind of go, I'm up to here. They tend to make very reactive decisions and jump into other organizations or roles that aren't best suited to them, and they ended up being more miserable, or they realize that they've made a mistake. It was interesting. I was watching Guy Russo speak a number of years ago. He's such a great guy, such a great leader. He's a former CEO of Kmart, and he talked about times when he's worked in environments that have been challenging, or he's worked with a bad manager, and he said, look, it's really important to realize that, again, focusing on being the best version of you, but one day they're going to leave. It's just around focusing on your work, focusing on the great people that are around you, and just navigating the best way you can as well. I think it's really important. I always say you can learn just as much from a bad manager than you can from a great one. So think about how can you use the experience as a real growth and learning experience as well. Also, I find, look, again, it's up to you, and I do this a lot with the people that I coach, is I'll send them like maybe articles or give them books or things or recommendations or books. And I'll say, hey, look, why don't you try leading upwards? And maybe you can say, hey, I'm working with this coach, or I found this I've been practicing my own self-development. I found this really great book. I thought you might like to read it. Or I found this really great article or this TED Talk or some sort of resources to try and upskill them or uplead them from where you're sitting and provide them guidance, because maybe they just don't know what they don't know and they don't know how to be a great leader. So maybe you helping them and coaching them indirectly could also be really, really valuable. So I'm always going to say this: you be the leader you want to see and you want to be. As I said, sometimes we can't choose who we work with. However, we have got a choice around how we react to the people that we are working with. And I always say, look, if it does get to a point where, you need to have the conversation, have the courage to have the conversation, because maybe they don't understand or they don't see the impact they're having on you or the business or the team. So take them out for a coffee or go for a walk. And if you feel that that's something that you have the courage to do, and sometimes, again, it can really help you form greater relationships, show kindness. As I said, request what you need from them, have a support network, a trusted support network, find out what motivates them, talk to HR if it does become unmanageable or if it is impacting you. Focus on your work and being your best, not on what they're doing around their leadership or management that is impacting on you. So, but make sure you always take care of your well-being. Okay, I think that's really important. Yeah, don't badmouth them. Look at other opportunities in your organization. Always keep seeing what you can learn from them. So if anyone's here watching today, if you've got any more tips around how you would go about working with a bad manager or not so great leadership, please let me know what you would do. I'll see if there's thank you for the comments here. There's a few great comments, so I really, really appreciate that. And Barzo, I think that's how you pronounce your name, so I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. I'm not very good with pronouncing names. So yeah, please reach out to us at Leadership HQ McDonald Inc. if we can help you in any other way. I hope these tips and techniques today really helped you, and remember to always stay kind and stay courageous. Thank you.